So I'm going to let this intro run, and then I'm going to get the disclaimer out of the way. Because you see, some things look easy. Rollerblading looks easy, but I can't do it. People will film an RC car while they're also driving it, and I can't do that either. I've gotten to an age where I guess I just accept it. I can't drink water lying down. There's nothing I can do about that. Anyway, I'll take the big rig through a run through this. As you saw earlier when it was on the spinny, closing in on 11 pounds. And even that little baby action camera in there just moves the center of gravity high enough that, oh, the edits, the unaltered footage is what I would call unwatchable. It's just a guy trying to do 3 things at once, and all 3 of those things suffering. I mean, at least here we get a decent look at some of the obstacles. I don't exactly know what I was thinking when I built this little fever dream of nylon webbing and scraps of 2x4s, but it's tough, but passable, so it's not too bad. The dirt in this part of the course is in full summer mode. It hasn't gotten any decent amount of water on it in 3 months, so it comes in one of 2 flavors. It's either hard as a rock or soft as powdered sugar, and the course is split kind of evenly between the 2. Right here it's hard as a rock, and 20 feet later it'll be powdered sugar that no matter what I do, it doesn't firm up. Those hills will slump out, presumably into eternity. I'm also dealing with not knowing not to record on a partly cloudy day if I intend to put footage from multiple cameras together, because the sun would move in and out of the clouds, and it looks like I'm filming it on different planets. It'll enter a bridge here, and when it comes out the other side, I know it probably doesn't bother anyone else, but there's times when it's all I can see. Here we get to see the first look at one of the newest obstacles I decided to put in. I got the brilliant idea to bury what's left of a driveway in the ground. So I had to dig all of this out. I think it was 28 or 30 wheelbarrows worth, and then replace that with chunks of concrete, some too big to be wisely lifted, but that's never stopped me before and certainly isn't going to stop me now. This section here, I hope for more in the future. It used to be a massive rubbish pile, so that got cleaned out. That helps. There's a drastic color change. And then this section here, I feel now, is mostly just filler. The hope was to have like a trailing section where I drive around. This is a a track that I use for testing other RC cars. It's 10 feet wide. I only swept this little section because I knew I'd only be driving on here. But then when you're doing it, and I presume when you're watching it, it just looks like a guy driving a small truck a long distance over relatively flat, hard dirt, which is, I'm sure, enthralling. And even then, I barely managed to keep it in the frame. And where the crawling terrain gets good, my ability to record it becomes increasingly compromised. So here's some haphazard edits to put together something almost watchable in place of what I had recorded with the Steadicam, which is, I can't keep my hands out of the view of the camera. I had my phone as viewfinder for the camera attached to the transmitter, which seemed like a brilliant idea when I was cobbling it together. But then you find out that the camera not being mounted to, say, my head or my arm isn't going to follow the action on its own, and I'm not accustomed to holding the controller always below my waist. That became a problem. About, I would say, a third of this footage was either one of my limbs or the phone or the controller or all three in the frame all at the same time. I understand now it's kind of lapsed into freeform ramblings about trying to record and drive at the same time. But I mean, I guess at least it's some insight into the process. The whole process. You got to build the course, then you got to drive the course, and then you have to try to record driving the course. And I mean, if you've made it in this far, I can explain why I had to strip the audio. My preference is to just hear the trucks drive the course, but not only when it was a cloudy day, but every dog in the neighborhood was seeing ghosts or being assaulted by their own inner demons, because it was just non-stop barking for like 2.5 hours, and I'm surrounded. Like, every neighboring property has more than one dog, and man, do they like to bark. I don't know when I could record and not hear barking. So this was purely, right in this section, me trying to keep it centered and keep the truck on a section that you put a half-pound camera in there above its center of gravity and it just wants to tip over. This was the real driver of the knowledge that I have to do this some other way. I shouldn't have rolled over there even once, much less 4 times. I've traversed that area many times. I know what speed to take it at. I know what angles to take it at. But I can't do these 3 things at once. I fancy myself a little bit of a task switcher, but I get a little better here at the end. This run was fairly cold. I had tested some of the sections to put down markers, but I hadn't done a run. This was the first run. I turned the cameras on and drove it. and it took about, I think it was 15 minutes, but at one point the viewfinder fell off the transmitter, and that had to be reset, and the camera shifted in its mount, and I had to fix that. So it was just technical error on top of technical error, but this is the time to do that. And ordinarily, this would be something that I would just bin the whole thing. But I'm saying but a lot. I had put so much time into the layout and thinking over the idea and then the actual filming that I couldn't bring myself to just throw it away. I had to edit what I had together and do some VO and let it shake out as it is. So if you followed me all the way through my stream of consciousness journey as I traversed I think the total running length is around 700 feet, which is probably excessive, and I don't take rock crawling enough into account in that I put some full-on hairpin U-turns that vehicles with locked differentials and all-wheel drive don't necessarily want to do. But I'm still sort of enamored by the idea. I think there's refinement to be made. I think it can be done better. So there's about 10 and a half, just over 10 minutes is I think what the final running time on that was. So I would like to at least keep the spirit of it alive. I don't exactly know what changes to make. A buddy suggested just doing it in stages, which is the usual fixed camera stuff I do anyway. But if anybody has any ideas, I'd be glad to hear them. You can leave a comment below, and I will take anything and everything into consideration. If you made it all the way through, thanks. And as always, like, subscribe, as I said, leave a comment. And I absolutely hope to see you in the next one.